She has written 27 New York Times bestsellers, sold more than 400 million copies of her books. One of the most successful authors of all time. She's just republished 2 books in paperback, Drop Dead Beautiful and Lovers and Players. And you've got a new hardback out, Jackie, and we couldn't figure out a way to say the title on morning television.
Too racy for you?
A little too racy for us.
Racy.
If you can figure out a way to say it, go ahead, but we couldn't do it.
Okay.
Actually, you will. No, don't take us up on that. So we've been talking about this all morning. That number, I couldn't get out of my head. 400 million books.
I've been doing this a long time.
No, but it's
many
more
countries,
than,
40
it's more
countries.
than that, though. What's your secret?
I've never been out of print. So over all these years, I've never been out of print. So I get a lot of young readers. They come to me when they're like 15. They come on my Twitter account or they come to my Facebook and they go, oh, I stole my mother's copy and I read it under the covers and it was so much fun and now I love reading and I'm going to read all your books. And then they go back and they read all the 26 books. And so it just keeps going. It's like, it kind of balloons. It's great.
And so many of them, of course, based in Hollywood. You first showed up in Hollywood when you were 15 years old.
I know. I was a wild one.
You didn't have much of a choice, right?
I was crawling. No, my parents said to me, Reform School or Hollywood, which is going to be the title of my autobiography. And I, thought for a few minutes. I had a sister who was a movie star in Hollywood, and I went, I think I'll take Hollywood. And so I wrote about it, when I got there. I always knew I was going to be a writer. And so I watched everything, and I lived in this kind of Melrose House kind of apartment complex. And the people who lived next to me were the people I wrote about in Hollywood Wives, which was an ABC miniseries.
Boy, you're good. You get it all out there in one sentence. But you also tried acting for a little while. What happened with that?
Well, I considered myself an out-of-work writer, so I was just doing it for research. I was always cast as the Italian girl, and if you blinked, you missed me. So it was fun. It was fun, but then I was learning about the business from both sides. So when I write my books, people know they're getting the real truth and not the front page of a tabloid, because I know every side of it. I know the producing side, because I produce my own movies now. In fact, I have one being produced in Paris at the moment.
You did it again!
I did, didn't I? Well, I've got to be able to say something, since I can't mention the title of my new book, which would make a great Valentine's present.
So what is the most important thing you've learned about Hollywood in all these years?
Not to take it too seriously. I find myself like an anthropologist crawling through the jungles of Hollywood, watching what goes on, because I was born in England. I always pretended that I was American. I had this kind of, feeling that I wanted to be in America, and I wanted to be in Hollywood. And yet I was never intimidated by any of it, because I was a very kind of adult child. I was very street smart. And so when I got there, I could watch things, and I could write about them, and I could do it with a sense of humor. And I think that's why people like my books, because they have a sense of humor. The title of my new book has a great sense of humor. The one that you can't mention because it's too racy. Yes.
So play anthropologist now.
Yes.
Look at all the headlines right now. Which is the scandal that speaks to you that says, boy, I can turn that into a novel? Well,
John Edwards and Sanford. I look at these two men and I think I've just written about them in the new book, whose title I can't mention. And I have a senator in the book called Gregory Stoneman, who employs this beautiful young assistant, and then things happen, she becomes pregnant and mysteriously vanishes. And I'm thinking this is very much based on maybe the Chandra Levy case, because what did really happen in that case?
We don't know.
And then I also took from the headlines Spitzer and that whole situation, and I have characters who come to New York and become involved in that situation. And it's so weird that I can't say the title of the book.
We'll figure a way to get it out there.
I feel like Adam Lambert,
You have been Lamberted here on Good Morning America. It's true. We want to show the last time you were here.
Oh,
about 20 years ago.
This will be hair from hell.
Let's well, let's find out.
Let's find out. This is good.
Women read my books because they like the strong women, and they like the humor, and they like the things that I do to the men in the books. But men read them because they think they're incredibly sexy. They'll pick up the book and they'll go, oh, this was written by a woman, and they'll look at my picture at the back and they'll go, oh, she really said that? Wow, this is some language.
But everybody had that hair then. We had the mini-series of Hollywood Wives, as I said, and we had Candice Bergen and Suzanne Summers and Stephanie Powers, and they all had hair from hell. So I don't feel, even the men, Anthony Hopkins. Can you imagine?
I think if I look at my hair 20 years ago, I probably had hair from hell as well. Jackie Collins, thanks very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been fun talking to you. You can read an excerpt of Jackie Collins' new book on our website at abcnews.com. We still can't tell you the title.